Southern Ocean was about surviving it and proving to yourself that you could do it, rather than necessarily getting up every day and thinking this is just the most wonderful place to be.
If I look back at some of my logs, I don't think I've actually said we're all having a whale of a time, actually. So my logs are usually quite raw, and as it is. So today I've got to try and come up with something, something original. I'll probably say it's very cold, it's very wet, it's very miserable.
You might as well prepare yourself for some not very good news, for those of you who haven't heard. I don't know, we were keeping up, weren't we, as we always do with BG and Sark, and we got some light winds before the coastline, and we tacked out, as did Me to You, but BG and Sark didn't come out with us. And in retrospect, we should have stayed in with them, but we didn't. We came out, we tacked back, and what happened is that the inside boats got lifted, and we took a knock. And the end result is that we had a horrible sked in this morning at 7 or whenever it was. They indicated that the inside boats had got, I think, 12 miles in front. I mean, all I can think to say is you better thank your lucky stars it's the first day and not the last day, eh? Because, you know, 10 miles is not going to win anybody a race over the distance that we've got to go. Nevertheless, it is, you know, it's disappointing, and a little bit hard to take for me, but there it is. We've got to get on with it.
Tasmania's like Cape Horn. You essentially run down with the coastline on your right hand side, and the moment you leave Tasmania stroke Cape Horn, it's literally like there's nothing there anymore. It's just water all the way around the world, and you get absolutely walloped, you know, by whatever gales are there. And we had a really difficult time after Tasmania. It was very, very nasty seas. You know, we began to pick up twisted knees, and you know, people were getting bashed around on the foredeck. And at one point I was thinking to myself, you know, this isn't sustainable. We can't carry on at this rate. People are getting worn down too quickly, so we almost had to throttle back a bit. You know, and then we heard about another boat that had to turn back, somebody fractured a hip, and I suppose the low point was we were doing a sail change, and the crew were going forward, and there was an enormous impact underneath the bow, and the bow shot up as if a sort of hand had gone underneath it, and all of the sail change gang were thrown in the air. And John Stewart, where his head used to be, his feet appeared, and he was spun 360 degrees on the foredeck, and he went overboard feet first over the rail, and you know, their cry went up, the one cry we didn't want to hear, which was man overboard. And so that was pretty interesting moment, really. I was on the helm, which I think was a good thing. It was daylight, it was another good thing. He was clipped on, and rapidly the foredeck crew got hold of him. I brought the boat up, which lifted him up as well. We hauled him back on board. By this stage, the below watch are tumbling up on deck, and they're mighty relieved, you know, not to be involved in a man overboard situation. And you know, to be fair, you know, they didn't come back. They finished the sail change, and then John Stewart came back, and then we talked about it.
Yeah, well, it's Tuesday the 15th, which is about the start of the third week on leg 4. Which is traditionally the toughest week, we always feel, of these long legs, because you know, it's pretty hard to get motivated, can be hard to get motivated in the third week, because you can't quite see the end of it all, and you've forgotten the beginning, and it's a long way. We're in good shape, we're in first place. We've been in first place for quite a while now, and we've got some really quite serious miles between us and our main competitors. I think we're 65 in front of BG, 50 in front of Sark. You know, these are numbers that they've never been that far in front of us, and we've never been that far in front of them before, so it's quite significant stuff, and that's making everyone feel very positive. It's been a tough leg, been cold, and the blooming heaters have packed up, as they seem to do on this boat periodically, and the guys have been fighting with that. They've got them fired up today, which is good, and our water maker doesn't very much like it on starboard tack, which is what we're on at the moment. But you know, these things are just sort of sent to try us, I think, on board BP. And what we're really looking forward to really is at the end of this week, if we can get to waypoint Bravo in this kind of shape, that'll give us 2 weeks to run until the end, and if we were 50 miles ahead of the pack by then, I would really be feeling very, very optimistic about things. I mean, I'm quite cautious about these things historically, having seen a few turnarounds, both positive and negative, and there is quite a long way to go. But I mean, I feel that we're sailing the boat very well, and I think the crew have done a fantastic job in doing all the sail changes and battling through the difficult conditions, so couldn't hope for any more really. But it's so far so good, so far so good.
It's day 24 and we've got cabin fever because we haven't spoken to anyone in the outside world, so we're resorting to this, which is a message in a bottle of Highland Park bought by Warren, our BP legger, the most northern distillery in the world, to celebrate the most southern point that he's ever been to, which was the horrible, never reachable waypoint Bravo. So we've destroyed the contents and added notes from all of the crew and a map of the global challenge, lovingly sealed, and we're about to chop her overboard. So we'll see if anyone gets in touch with us.
3 cheers for the brother! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Bon voyage to the bottle!
We led the fleet more or less from Tasmania to a place called Waypoint Alpha, which is a notional point in the Southern Ocean we had to go around. And through a little bit of bad sailing, bad navigation, poor boat speed, we ended up rounding that mark in 3rd place. The second half of the race was a story of being in 3rd place. We sailed the boat very well, with a shark and Imagine It done, and eventually we reached the Cape of Good Hope and still in 3rd place. And then we just had the most amazing last 24 hours. Basically we sailed towards a cape with a spinnaker up in light winds, and I had a feeling that it was all going to change. So I was up the second spreaders looking forward, and I could see the lead boat just tacking backwards and forwards, and they were losing it. I could tell because they could see us coming with a kite up, and they were in a wind hole and they were not behaving well. And so eventually we all, after 35 days at sea, 4 boats all ended up within sight of each other off Cape of Good Hope, and the wind slowly filled in and a tacking duel developed up the coast towards Cape Town, and we moved from 3rd to 2nd. The boat was in 1st, moved from 1st to 4th. 4th place boat came up and took 3rd place. There's this real shuffling of positions in the sunlight and the evening of the last day. It was an amazing spectacle. So we ended up 2nd. We were 2nd going into New Zealand. We had a fast leg between New Zealand and Cape Town, and so we won the Cape to Cape Award, which was the fastest boat to sail from Cape Horn to Cape of Good Hope, and we didn't have any significant injuries or accidents during that period. So I really think it's probably, you know, one of our finest achievements to be the fastest boat across the Southern Ocean and have no injuries or incidents. And I feel very proud about that, as do all the team.